I'd like to welcome each and every one of you for coming to the 11th annual New York State Boxing Hall of Fame. Right now, I want to introduce our celebrities and honorees for the night. The former IBF USBA welterweight champion, Kevin, Mr. Excitement, Pompey. This young lady has judged over 50 world title fights in 15 different countries. He was the voice of the Nets, the Zone, Ring 8, and he's the voice of this organization. He's the greatest ring announcer in the world today, David Diamante. Diamante. This is a former 3-division world champion, and she makes history tonight as the first female boxer ever to be inducted into this Hall of Fame. Let's hear it for the Wildcat, Hector. Former commissioner, former Ring 8 president, and the reigning president of the New York State Boxing Hall of Fame, Mr. Bob Duffy. Doesn't need any introduction. He's a 2-division, 6-time world champion, Super Zach. This next individual is a boxing commentator, producer, radio show host, and the former president of the Boxing Writers Association of America, Tony Paige. He's a boxer turned promoter. He's the former IBF Intercontinental Lightweight Champion, Dmitry, star of David Salita. This individual, doctor, and now he's the chief of official medical officer of the New York State Athletic Commissioner since 2011, Mr. Dr. Barry Jordan. Former detective, author, boxing writer, Bob Mladinich. The president of Ring 44 and the Buffalo Hall of Fame, top boxing historian, Bob Caico.
A lot of volunteer workers that come and do this for nothing. I got my 3 daughters outside, Margaret, Caroline, and Michelle, who volunteer to work the door. I got Darcy, Bedelia, who works the feeding. I got Peter Postup, our photographer. A special shout out to Monty Barrett for being the behind-the-scenes guy helping out. And Henry Haskett for taking the place of the Dave Diamante, who does this every year. And Malvina Latham. A lot of these people all volunteer their time to make this happen.
How's it feel to be here at the Boxing Hall of Fame today?
Great time, great time.
It's a great honor to be here.
Johnny, just talk about the honor of having Eddie come in the Hall of Fame this year and what it means to the family.
It's a great honor for myself and him and my family also that he's not here. It's a great honor to know that at least one of us made it to the Hall of Fame. And I appreciate it that he made it. He got me into boxing. Here we are. Made us what we are today.
Very meaningful, great honor. We were all the same weight class, 140 pounds, in the peak of our careers. When I first started training at Starrett City Boxing Club in 1995, that's when Zab was wrecking hell through amateur boxing in New York City and in the country. And he used to come to Starrett City with his father, Yoel, and Daniel, and then he had another brother whose name I don't remember. And just to watch them train and to be able to see Zap spar, I mean, he was just so incredible. And his sparring sessions with Louis Collazo and then with Travis Sims and just so much intensity. And to be able to be exposed to it really from the first day of my boxing education was really incredible.
Thank you. Doesn't fit in. Thank you all so much for being here tonight and for supporting all of us in boxing. Really appreciate it. You know, it is 30 years ago, which doesn't feel like it, but it is. I have raised my family, but I do remember so many people in this room from 30 years ago. You know, so many memories with you guys. In July of 2022, President Joe Biden presented Megan Rapinoe, a soccer player, and her fellow Olympic teammate in gymnastics, Simone Biles, with the Presidential Medal of Freedom, where he said, "It is an essential American truth that everyone is entitled to be treated with dignity and respect." In the early 90s, Commissioner Randy Gordon and many of you here, the New York State Athletic Commission, broke glass ceilings by allowing women to license in professional boxing. It wasn't legal before 1995. This paved the way for me and 23 other women like me to enter the first class of women boxers to compete in the New York Golden Gloves in 1995. This was the beginning of my Cinderella story. You know, we as little girls grow up idolizing Disney princesses and their dresses and their crowns, and that wasn't me, okay? But this was my chance of going to the ball.
It's a little bittersweet here because Hector Rocha passed away on January 3rd. But I'm glad that he at least got to know that he was in the induction into the Hall of Fame. Now, Hector always said that he wished he would have lived until he was 100. And he didn't make it that far. But anyone who knew him would tell you that he packed more than 100 years into his 82 years. In the 1970s, he won a gold medal as a cyclist in the Central American Games for Panama. He represented Panama in 2 Olympics after that as a cyclist. Some 10 years later, he came to New York and found a gym a couple of blocks away from Madison Square Garden. If you ever went to Gleason's gym, you would always see Hector there. His idea of a vacation was finding a corner in the gym and playing some dominoes. Every time I went to Gleason's, Hector would look at me and he would always be so happy to see me. I began to think that he missed me, and I started thinking I should come to the gym more often. Then I noticed he greeted everyone the same exact way. And I always thought it'd be nice if more people greeted everyone the way Hector greeted me and everybody else. So Hector was always at the gym. And when he found out I wrote a book about a Panamanian boxer, he thanked me. And I told Hector, I said, "You don't gotta thank me for this." And he said, "No, I do. Because you did something that wasn't easy and that nobody else bothered to do." And I went home that night and I felt like writing another book. And that's when it dawned on me the magic this man had with his words. He could motivate you easily. And his specialty was motivating fighters. And we all know his track record. Arturo Gatti, Buddy McGirt, Iran Barkley, Michael Olajide, and this gentleman off to the side here, Dmitry Salita. I'm gonna let Dmitry finish off because I know Hector would have preferred it that way. So here, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Dmitry Salita.
Thank you so much. First of all, it's a great honor to induct one of the greatest boxing minds in New York City history, Hector Rocha. And so many stories that I could tell of Hector. And I think I'll start from the beginning. I started training with Hector towards the end of my amateur career when I made a decision to turn pro. At that time, Hector trained Arturo Gatti, Eugene, David Telesco. He was a real boxing celebrity. And he helped prepare me for the Golden Glove finals in the locker room that evening. Before going on to the ring, he said, "Dmitry, Jimmy O, who was my trainer, this is not my night. I helped you a little bit, but this is Jimmy's moment. I'm not going to work the corner with you. Good luck, and I'll see you in your pro debut." And was very gracious of it. He I wound up winning the Golden Gloves. Our first training camp, he took me to Colorado Springs, where he was training Hector Camacho Sr. for a third fight with Roberto Duran. And he was helping Camacho Jr. fight Jesse James later on pay-per-view. What an incredible experience it was for me to learn from the best from my very first fight. He gave me discipline, motivation, structure. Hector was a great, great man, and I spoke to him 3 days before he suddenly passed away. He left a big hole for us. I met Hector Jr., who's here in the audience. Your father was a great man, and I greatly benefited and learned from him a tremendous amount. So on behalf of Hector, I'm very grateful. I also want to use my opportunity on the stage to send my gratitude and appreciation to Kathy Collins, who I've had the honor to train with towards the beginning of my professional career. And she was as skilled as any man and harder working than most men, and gave me incredible inspiration and guidance in those early days. So thank you, and congratulations to you as well. And congratulations to Hector. I know he's looking down. God bless everybody. Thank you. Beautiful smile. And Hector knew how to smile, knew how to joke, knew how to be tough, knew how to be disciplined, knew how to motivate you in the corner and give you instructions. He was a true hero in the boxing community, and thank you for him. Thank you.
First, I want to thank God for the opportunity to be here on behalf of my father, my rest in peace. Also, I want to thank everybody that made this possible for him. I know he's looking down to us. I want to thank Bruce Silvergray for opening the doors to my father when he walked in that room. I want to tell a story about my father, how everything started in Panama. My father used to work at the little shop fixing TVs. He used to fix TVs. He used to race for represent Panama and cycling. He came to New York, walking Gleason Gym at the age of 34 years old. Everything started from there. One thing that I'm going to say about my father is, if you don't do what he's telling you to do, he's going to leave you in the corner by yourself. And he did it. So, and that was the thing that he was unique about. He used to slap in the top of the head, and that's how he was. If he didn't say bad words to you and talk back to you, he didn't mean nothing to you. But I want to thank everybody to make this possible for my father. I'm not from here, it's too cold. I got to go back to Miami and be in the good weather, so I appreciate everybody. Thank you.
People that are no longer with us, that's going to be inducted into our Hall of Fame. This one individual was born in Russia. He came to America at the age of 9. He started boxing in 1932. He became a pro in 1934. He had a couple of dozen fights as a pro. He was a trainer, but he's mostly known for being the founder of the sporting goods store called GNS, which is one of the most prestigious sporting goods stores and worldwide, and still going today. Let's hear it for Ziggy Zellery. The next individual I'd like to induct, he was a manager for 35 years. He managed or handled over 500 professional fighters, including Rocky Graciano, Billy Graham, Walter Cartier, Bob Murphy. In the early 60s, he managed the Stillman Gym. He also promoted bouts at St. Nick's and Sunnyside Garden. He's in the International Boxing Hall of Fame, and his name is Irving Cohen. Well, enough of me. Now, for the next presenter, the man needs no introduction. He's the former heavyweight champion of the world, Michael Ben.
George Washington.
George was a brilliant trainer. More than that, though, he was a sense of human being, and he got you. He trained, he's responsible for training myself, Willie Gold, Mark Breland, and a host of others. In honor of George, thank you for your contribution to my career and the careers of Riddick and Mark, and may you rest in peace.
It's my privilege to induct the great Eddie Davis into the New York State Boxing Hall of Fame this year. This young man right here is Johnny Davis, his brother, equally great light heavyweight contender. Jamie Drubin, cruiserweight contender from Long Island. Both of these guys trained at the Percy Jackson Youth Center in Hempstead. And Eddie and Johnny were great fighters, but what Jamie confirmed to me, which is just as important, is that they were great mentors. They were great for the kids in the community. They always go back to the community. And when Jamie was telling me the stories of how Eddie and Johnny would take him under their wing and all the youth fighters at the Percy Jackson Youth Center, that just really meant a lot to me to hear that. But Eddie Davis, Golden Glove champion, top light heavyweight contender, beat Murray Sutherland, fought for the world title 3 times. Many experts will say, I spoke to Dennis Rappaport about 2 weeks ago, he gave Michael Spinks the closest fight that Michael Spinks had as a light heavyweight. Everyone regards Michael as the greatest light heavyweight in the history of boxing. It's either him, Bob Forster, or Archie Moore, 3 great fighters. But Eddie Davis was in there toe-to-toe with Michael Spinks and gave him the closest fight that he had during his title reign. Eddie also fought Dwight Muhammad Qawi and ended his career fighting for the title against Daniel Lan. A fantastic boxer, puncher. Like I said, Dennis Rappaport was his manager. Dennis told me when I called him, he had just watched the Davis Spinks fight again. And to this day, he's still convinced that Eddie won the fight, as are many people. I'd like to turn the microphone over to Johnny Davis, who will accept Eddie's induction into the Hall of Fame. And Johnny also challenged for the title against Michael Spinks. And so let me give the mic over to Johnny.
We make it sound like we did something good. It was just a pleasure to be in this sport, and I thank Honor for the awards for my brother. I wish he was here, but I don't think heaven let you out to accept the award. I just thank the committee, my family, and everyone here for this wonderful award. Thank you.
For our next presenter, he fought in the Golden Gloves in New York. He's an author of several books. Let's hear it for Peter Wood.
It's my honor to be introducing a very special young man, very special tall young man, Bob Mladinich. It's interesting to note that Bob's indefatigable 100-year-old mother is here today, sitting at that table. Margot Mladinich likes to boast that her son, Bob, is a good man, and he comes from strong peasant stock.
It's a wonderful afternoon. I got involved with boxing back in the 1970s, the late 70s. It was a very easy time to get interested in boxing. There was the movie Rocky came out. It was the best picture of the year. The the 5 Olympic gold medalists in 1976 were very exciting. And I was going to school in upstate New York, and I got to be friendly with a pro boxer, and I wound up accompanying him to his training camp and pretty much doing everything he did for a series of articles for the school newspaper. I wound up falling in love with the sport, having a couple of fights, was not very successful in the ring, but wound up being a little more successful outside of the ring. But there were two very early things that happened in boxing that I think reflect why I fell in love with the sport. There are no people, no athletes in the world that are more accommodating, more approachable, and more down to earth than boxers. And I just want to give you two stories that happened very early in my writing career that really hooked me on the sport for life. My very first assignments were for a magazine called Boxing Digest, and I had a little press pass that was given to me. I was about 20 years old, and I took the press pass to Gleason's Gym in New York, which was charging 50 cents admission to watch Roberto Duran train. And I was very young and cocky, and I showed my press pass to the guy at the door, and I said, press, and he said, press your pants, it's still $1 to get in. That was my first exposure to just how wonderful the people in boxing are. And a second thing happened. I was covering a show out of Long Island, a small club show, and there were two referees, both of whom I knew of I knew they were 1950s fighters. One was Billy Graham, who people called the uncrowned middleweight champ. The other was Charlie Norkus, who had been a heavyweight contender. Charlie's son, also named Charlie, is here. If you can just stand up, Charlie, because this is literally one of my favorite stories from boxing. Somehow at the end of the show, I was covering, as I said, for the Long Islander newspaper, and somehow I wandered into the wrong dressing room, and Billy Graham and Charlie Norkus, they had refereed all of the fights that night, and they were getting changed into their street clothes from their referee's clothes. And suddenly I find myself in their midst. To me, to a 20-year-old man, these were giants, boxing giants. And I remember thinking, oh boy, I'm going to be in trouble. They're going to say, what the hell are you doing here? You don't belong here. Instead, Charlie Norkus said, hey kid, what are you doing? What's going on? I can't remember the conversation. I wish I could, but they treated me like a king. They asked me lots of questions. They were very interested in the answers. They never threw me out. And these were big, rough-looking, grizzled, ex-fighters. And I just realized that I had found a home in this sport. And that's literally one of my favorite memories from almost 50 years in this game. I've gotten to travel around the country. I've been to fights in bull rings in Mexico, in baseball stadiums in California. Boxers are the most approachable people in the world. One quick example, I was driving in, I think, Illinois or Nebraska, and I saw a sign for Council Bluffs, Iowa, which was about 100 miles ahead of me. This is about 15 years ago. I remember that Ron Stander, who fought Joe Frazier for the title, was from Council Bluffs. I got on my cell phone. Within 3 to 5 phone calls, I was speaking to Ron Stander on the phone, and an hour later, I was in his house having lunch. He gave me a signed poster of his fight with Frazier, and I wound up spending a wonderful afternoon. I did that with Jerry Quarry in California, Mike Quarry in California. There is no other athletes in the world that are as approachable and decent as fighters are. There's two of them right here that I had the privilege of covering. Zach Judah, Dmitry Salita, very early in their career, just classy, very, very classy individuals. It's been a blessing to be in this sport for so long. I thank everybody for being here, and especially my 100-year-old mother, U.S. Navy retired, and she made the trip. So thank you very much, everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to induct our next inductee, a former 132 bout career. Let's hear for Mike Belloise.
who got my father into boxing, and also his other brother, Steve, the boxing Belloise brothers, all three of them. So on behalf of my Uncle Mike, I want to say thank you very much to all of you for coming here and supporting boxing and for the honor that you've given my uncle. Thank you.
Thank you very much. First of all, to all of you who took the time out to attend today, this is really incredible. Anybody who talks about the sport of boxing being in decline, or worse than that, they don't come to places like this. It's give yourselves a hand, because this is a great show of support for the sport. Dmitry had a mentor and an incredible trainer when he came to the United States. And at the Stoward City Boxing Club, where he also worked with Zab Judah, a longtime friend of mine, who gave us a lot of very exciting fights at HBO. And Jim Yo, may he rest in peace, used to say about the crazy kid Salita, he looks Russian, he prays Jewish, and he fights black.
Thank you so much, Mark. I'm so grateful for your speech and for your mentorship now on the other side of the sport. Thank you so much. They say it takes a village to raise a child, and certainly in my life, it took a village for me to be to this point, and many of my friends are here with me today. Ellie and his wife, Israel and his wife, Normo, CJ, Mike Rella, Willie, David, and Wilson, Karen. I'm so grateful that you guys came here to support me. Joe, and others that are here that I did not mention, please forgive me. I almost feel like I'm in a ring. My first day, I first started boxing by joining the Stoward City Boxing Club in 1995. First of all, that brings so many memories to mind. And I want to congratulate fellow nominee Zab Judah, who I saw in the gym in 1995, Monty Barrett, who's here, Paul Malignaggi, who's not here, but is inducted, all phenomenal fighters and phenomenal guys, and of course Captain Collins and David Diamante, who I know so well, and Robin Taylor. So Stoward City Boxing Club was a very unique place that produced some of the greatest fighters in the sport for decades. Some of them are still around today. Great trainers, great managers, really an incredible place. It had a one-way, had no windows, had one door that went down a slope to the basement. No air conditioning in the summertime, no winter in the wintertime, no running water and no bathroom. Jimmy O was at his head. He had two assistants, Mr. Bob and Mr. Tate, and Norma Lorick, who's here with me, who trained me for some time, was his first student, an Olympian. Great to see you here, Norma. The Stoward City Boxing Club was the toughest place that I've been to, and I spent my first 7 years of my life training there every single day. Jimmy O taught me so many things about life, about boxing. Every day after the gym, whatever happened, whether it was a good day or a bad day, Jimmy would call me and tell me about the philosophy of life, philosophy of boxing. Sometimes the conversations were for 5 minutes, sometimes the conversations were for 3 hours. And they say, there's a saying, as I get older, your father gets smarter. So Jimmy was a father figure in my life. And some of the things that he told me before, I had no idea what they meant. And now, being in the boxing business and coming across certain situations, I was, as Mark said in the speech, I was the only white boy in Stoward City Boxing Club. Now that I'm a promoter, people profile me sometimes because they don't know that the hood done raised me, baby. And someone from my background and my complexion, I was so blessed to have Jimmy O in my corner and to expose me to so many different experiences that people from my community would never have a chance to experience on such an intimate level. So, love Jimmy O. Oh. And his son CJ is here to, let's give him a round of applause. Thank you so much. This is a fantastic honor, one of the most meaningful moments of my life. And I also want to give a shout out to all the people that trained me throughout my career. Yashi Springer was the first guy from Sarah City Boxing Club. Jimmy O, incredible influence on my life. Hector Rocha, Norma Laura, Oscar Suarez, Sugar Hill Stewart, Orlando Carrasquillo. I think I got it all, right? Yes, okay. All right. And thank you all.
It's an absolute honor for me to present Robin Taylor, the New York Boxing Hall of Fame.
Thank you, Melvina, for that great introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to first thank God for this special blessing today. Thank you, Bob Duffy and Ring 8 for this distinguished honor. I have to say that I'm truly humbled by this, to be acknowledged at this magnitude for something that I love to do is an honor I will always cherish. Let me just share a little bit about my boxing journey and how I got started. I was introduced to boxing by my father at the age of 12, and I quickly fell in love with the sport. When I was growing up, Muhammad Ali was one of my favorite boxers. Actually, he brought boxing into the spotlight for me because he was so exciting to watch. As a young boxing fan, I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, one of 7 children. And boy, oh boy, do I remember fussing with my siblings just to watch fights on our one and only television back then. I remember how I used to score the fights that I watched, and I compared my score to the professional judges. I realized from early on that I wanted to be a boxing judge, and I was often encouraged by my family and friends to pursue my dream, and that's exactly what I did. In 1993, I went to Gleason's gym, and I signed up to become an amateur boxing judge. That was an exciting time for me, because being a part of USA Boxing Metro not only gave me the opportunity to volunteer my time to support our youth, but I was also able to gain the experience I needed to become a professional boxing judge. Fast forward to 2001, I received my professional boxing judge license from the New York State Athletic Commission. Thank you, Bob Duffy. Up to now, I've judged more than 680 bouts, which include 131 championship fights. Being a proud member of the IBF, WBO, WBC, and IBO, I've had the opportunity to judge championship fights in various parts of the world, and I worked at some of the biggest venues. When I look back on everything, my only one regret is I wish I could have participated in boxing competitively, but when I was growing up, boxing wasn't a popular sport for girls to participate in. But today, I'm getting my championship belt. And I would do all I how time really flies. This coming November 5th, I will be celebrating my 30th year in boxing. And I have to say, without a doubt, I'm truly living my dream, and I'm so thankful to be part of the boxing community. And I just want to say to anyone who's pursuing their dream, to always believe in yourself and have faith in your journey. I know I did. And before I conclude, I would like to thank my 3 children who are here, along with many of my family members who came out to support me today. Some of them traveled from as far as Yonkers, Virginia, North Carolina, Georgia, and Florida to show their love and support. Thank you guys. I truly appreciate you all being here. I also would like to thank the board members from my Homeowners Association, New Lots Nehemiah, for being here. And I definitely have to take this moment to give a special shout out to my Metro 5 crew who I came up the ranks with. Miss Barker Lee, Eddie Claudio, Carlos Ortiz, our beloved Ruben Lugo, and our ring leader, Danny Gang. During our amateur days, we developed a close friendship, and together we traveled the highways and byways to get to and from so many boxing events. Thank you guys for being here and sharing this special moment with me. And finally, I would like to congratulate all of the honorees tonight, which is well deserved. And again, thank you, Ring 8, for this distinguished honor. It means so much to me. And to all of you here, thank you for your time and enjoy the rest of your evening. God bless you all. Thank you.
Hello, hello, hello. I just want to thank each and every one of you guys for coming out here tonight. This is an amazing event. I was inducted in 2019. We have some wonderful people all here. And it's an honor for me to be bringing my little brother and his dad. Big head, get on my nerves, bad. But I just want to think about, I want to thank all the inductees because everybody deserves it, and this was deserved. David Diamante, my guy, oh my God, I'm around some great people. So, let me just tell you real quick, Zab and I'm his brother, I don't know, we've been brothers for 30 years, but this is how we formed the bond. So, the Dubas, Lou Duba, they sponsored me and Zab as amateurs, right? So we look at them hang out with Evander Holyfield, Pernell Whitaker, Andrew Galata, David Tour. So we get on the plane, and Zab grabbed my hand. And I said, what's wrong with you, bro? He's like, I'm afraid of heights, can you hold my hand? So we bonded after that. We bonded forever, right? And then when another time, his father said, you know, I want you to keep an eye on my boys. So it was Josiah, Danielle, and Zab. So it was around 12 o'clock, like in the morning. So I said, I'm like, who is that? So Zab said, me and my wife were sleeping. Zab comes in, he's like, I'm scared in the dark, can I sleep with you? So I let him sleep at the end of the bed. And this guy's a killer in the ring, right? But he's scared in the dark, and he's scared of airplanes. So Zab and I took a short vacation, a staycation, and I did some poetry, and I won this poetry contest. So after that, Zab started writing poetry. I was like, and it was horrible, but we tried. So I wrote him a poem, so let me just get this poem together. And give me a round of applause that I can still talk after 18 years of getting punched in the face. Okay, y'all gotta bear with me. Look in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. No, it's Zab Judah. But let's take a look at the meaning of super. Zab is super talented, super quick, Like Jay-Z said, his left hand will lean you a little past 6. Maybe a super son, a super brother, a super husband, or even a super dad. If you know Zab, you know you don't want to mess with him or get him mad. How about super hard worker, super funny? I tell you and me, Zab ran through a lot of money. Maybe it's a super witty. Maybe he is super witty with a super heart. I knew he was going to be special from the very start. Super blessed, super fast, super speed. He has everything a super fighter needs to get to the victory. Super sharp, super blue. When he steps in the ring, you know what he's about to do. See right to that blue. Super is over and above, higher in quantity and quality, or a degree that, or more than superhuman. Super is great, magnificent, marvelous, outstanding, sensational, and superb. He super deserved this award for being a super exceptional fighter. I can go on and on about my superhead, pain in the butt little brother, but I tell you he's a super guy and a super heart, and he owes me a super favor. And guess what that is, Zach? I need my super big hug. Welcome to the hall, bro.
He's only the 6th person in boxing history to own a belt in all 4 sanctioned bodies. And if that don't blow your mind away, you know, Ring Magazine has had a rating system since 1925. There were over 4,740 different fighters. Zab Judah was rated in the top 10, 183 months. What does that mean? What does that mean? Well, he was rated more than guys like Henry Armstrong, Willie Pep, Joe Frazier, George Foreman, Roberto Duran, Chavez. I can go on and on. In fact, there's only 18 individuals in boxing history that were rated more months than he was, and 17 are in the International Boxing Hall of Fame, and the only one that isn't is Manny Pacquiao. This is the kind of person we are inducted into the New York State Boxing Hall of Fame. Super
I want to give the honor to God. I want to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I wanna this is a big night, guys. It's a big night. It's a big night. It's a big night for me. You know, can I say 19? What is it? I think let's start at 93. 93. I won my first Golden Gloves. I was 15 years old. Me and my brothers, we entered the tournament. You know, my father showed us the tournament. The year before that, he showed us, said, "This is the Golden Gloves. This is what it's about." And you know, we was already training and doing everything like that, but he took us to it and gave us the experience live. And I promised my father right after that, I said, "Yeah, I'm gonna win this next year. It's nothing. It's easy." And he looked at me. He said, "You know, you're only 15 years old. It's nothing. These guys can't beat me." You know what I mean? So from day one, I always had the confidence. I always wanted to be the best. I always wanted to be great. I always wanted to work hard. You know what I'm saying? What can I say with a supporting team like this? I mean, come on. It was crazy. I mean, like, but my mother, my day one, my heart, my everything. She been there for everything. She been there with me from thick and thin, wins, losses, draws. We did it all. You know what I'm saying? I want to thank her. I mean, she my backbone. She my backbone. Even now in my retirement life, she's still here with me. You know, she give me great advice. We talk every day, all day. And That's my girl, you know what I'm saying? My pops, he can't be here today. I know everybody's looking, you know, he's in training. You know, my father's he's a fighter. Anybody that know my pops know he's a fighter. So right now he's in training camp with Devin Haney, preparing him for his big fight, May the 20th against Lomachenko. So he can attend tonight. 1996, I turned professional, and I started up a professional career. And I had a hell of an amateur career. 115 fights, 5 defeats, and I went from golden gloves, literally from the kid gloves. Excuse me. This might be a tournament a lot of y'all might know about, a lot of y'all might not know. A tournament in New York City called the kid gloves, all the way to the 1996 Olympics. You know what I mean? So that's like a full amateur career. Then I turned professional in 1996, and I think I had a full great career. I mean, I feel like I had a full great career. I went from, you know, winning the championship of the world 6 different times. I mean, that was amazing. I mean, but that's the story. But that's the story just to show you in life. It's for everybody. You know, there's no such thing as, you know, you won't be perfect. There's no such thing, you know. But what you gotta have is will and drive. Will and drive and dedication. You gotta want to get up off the ground. No matter, there's no such thing as a loss. I mean, anybody that know me know, there's no negative you can tell me or something I can't do or something that's just not me. I believe that in my human body, I can do a lot of things, almost everything. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like everybody out here have the same opportunity in their life. You know what I'm saying? And real talk, I mean, I don't know if y'all guys seen, but I made a big transition in my life lately, man. I've been like, you know, dedicated just with my family, just with, you know, business, just made a whole different structure, moved to California, you know what I'm saying? Me and my significant other, Dee. Come on here, buddy, come on. And this is my wife. This is my other half right here, guys, ladies and gentlemen. She's the one that keeps me strong. You know, help me conduct my mind to just put it in a business form, a family form, just to be a great guy. You know what I'm saying? And you know, I mean, I owe her the world, and you know, she's everything to me. And you know, I just want to say, you know, Prince, you got that thing? I just want to say right now, right here, on my biggest day of my life, will you marry me?
Hello, I'm Elijah Pompey. I'm Kevin's son, aka Troy Tiger, Mr. Excitement. I'm coming up here not to talk about only the boxer he is, but the man he is, because he's inspired me so much my whole life to be the man I want to be, not who else they want me to be, who I want to be. So I really appreciate the man, the boxer, the fighter, the warrior he's been throughout my whole life, because he inspires me every day to be a better man, a better person, a better father. I have my own child now, so that's, you know, it's my dad's Kevin. Your dad's Detroit Tiger? Yes, my dad's Detroit Tiger. It feels good every time saying it, because I know there ain't nothing bad that anyone can say about this man right here, ever, ever. He's an amazing man, he's an amazing father, he's an amazing fighter. I love you, Dad. I appreciate you. You make me happy every day. Seriously. I love you, Dad. Paige, everybody. Izzy tour. Everybody was great. You know, back in the 90s, I think.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to introduce my friend, Gary Jordan, to the New York Hall of Fame.
I've met some great people in boxing. Who else would have a boss this beautiful? And her wonderful husband, really good dear friend, Belloise. Yeah. Boxing, I mean, like I said, I had a fairly decent education. But I don't know where I would be without boxing. And the people I've met through boxing, I may miss some names. Dad, Michael Bent, Monty Barrett, Bob Duffy, the late George Washington. Gotta give him props. My wife, my family, and everyone is here. And I can honestly say, this is the first time in my life I've had people here from all walks of my life. And I'm going to go back, a lot of people know this, I'm going back with man Bruce. We were 5, 6 years old, Brooklyn Central, YMCA. Then I got my crew here from Stuyvesant High School. I got my crew here from University of Pennsylvania. I got my crew from Harvard Medical School. What did I forget? Oh, last but not least, Southside. Where y'all at? Southside, Queens, Southside.
I've been waiting a couple of years to make this speech. I'm going to take you back to the 1940s for a little while. We're going back to the 1940s, the so-called golden era of boxing. 8 champions, 8 divisions. Joe Louis, Willie Pett, Sugar Ray Robinson, some of the greatest fighters ever. And in that generation, just like Marlon Brando told us in the movie, being a contender meant a lot. Tony Pellone was a contender for a long time. In many of those years, #1 contender by Ring Magazine and the National Boxing Association's leading logical contender for many years. Back in those days, headlining Madison Square Garden was as good as being a champion. And for the last half of the 1940s, nobody headlined Madison Square Garden more times than Tony Pellone. Half of Robinson's title opponents first had to beat Tony Pellone. And for most of those fights, Tony Pellone was about as old as I was when I met him. See, his real name was Chiro or Jared. And he used his older brother's ID to turn pro. And to this day, he's the second youngest fighter to ever headline at Madison Square Garden. His fight with Cat Gavilan was described by the newspaper saying that not a seat was occupied during the whole fight. One of the most exciting fighters in New York. Sugar Ray Robinson once told him, "Tony, if they could beat you, I know I have a real fight on my hands." Long overdue, and I'm very honored to present the award for his sons and his nephews, Neil, Rocco, and Neil.
To stop winning streaks of over 40 in a row. Billy Graham was 1, Charlie Mazzari was 45-0 at the time he fought Tony, and after the fight, he was 45-1, and he's the only man in boxing history.
I also want to thank all the inductees, besides my uncle and the rest of the inductees. This is a big honor for us and our family. Also, Jose wrote 2 articles about my uncle. He got this spearhead of my uncle getting in. And he left out one part that I'm going to bring up. He's right. My uncle's name was Ciro. And he started fighting professionally at the age of 15 years old. By the time he was done, he was 23 years old. He had over 100 fights in the 9-year career. When he met Jose, he told Jose about those 100 fights. Jose said, I think it's really 79. He said, no, it's 109. He told Jose, where did you find your information? He said, Ring Magazine. He said, go home, get that Ring Magazine and stuff it up your... But that was my uncle. That was his personality. I wish he was here right now, but I can feel him here right now. We brought over 50 Pellones here today. And you know what? Many years ago, I was at a funeral with my uncle, and he tells the story about my uncle with that beer. My uncle always had that beer in his pocket. He'd be at a funeral, he'd have the suit pocket, he'd have his can of beer in there. And he said to me, Neil, it's sad, we only get together at weddings and funerals. Well, you know what, Uncle Jerry? You're wrong. We're here together for you today. This isn't just for the people here tonight. My uncle came from a family of 12. So besides his parents, this is for his brothers Tony, Johnny, Carmine, Vinny, Boo Boo, Nikki, Sally, Frankie, his sister Anna Marie, and his youngest brother Joey. I left out one sibling. She's 90 years old and she's here tonight. My Aunt Susie. I want everybody, stand up for my Aunt Susie. Give her a round of applause. The cutest thing, before I pass the mic on to my cousins, my Aunt Susie came out here tonight. She got a manicure, and on her manicure, she's got my Uncle Tony's boxing card on her thumb.
Including but not limited to being a man, a father, and a acclaimed boxing writer and commentator. I lived my life experiencing the first two firsthand. You all have definitely experienced the third by giving him this great honor. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming to the podium my dad, Anthony Carter Paige.
I am truly humbled and honored to have to be here on this occasion. I stand before you as a kid from the Forest Projects in the South Bronx, and I am a journalist. That's what I do for a living. I knew boxing and I were going to have a long relationship, because I was at my grandmother's house when I was 8 years old. She was on 130th Street in Harlem. There was a commotion, much like in here, outside. She said, look outside and see what you see. I said, I don't have a good angle. There's a whole bunch of people around a pink Cadillac. And my grandmother said, oh, Sugar Ray Robinson's in the building. And I said, what's he doing here? His sister lives in the building. A couple of years later, I was working for a radio station in Tallahassee, Florida. And the station got sold. I came back home and they announced on the radio that the Nassau Coliseum was going to have their first boxing card. Jerry Quarry, the famous heavyweight, against a guy named Joe Alexander. I didn't know who Joe Alexander was until they said he was from Thomasville, Georgia. He was across the road from Tallahassee into Georgia. So I went to Gleason's gym to interview him. Not the Gleason's in Brooklyn, not the Gleason's in Manhattan, in the Bronx. Thank you. It was stinky, funky, dirty. I think if you didn't spit on the floor, they'd find you. And I said, I think this is something I want to do.
Former pro fighter Tommy Ramone is going to accept this award on behalf of Paulie Malignaggi. Tommy, wherever you are, come on.
So yeah, Paulie could not make it today. He had obligations with commentary tomorrow. But he just wanted me to thank all the trainers from Gleason's Gym, which is where he started out. He told me that without Gleason's Gym, what it was in the early 90s, in that gym, you had to really survive and learn how to be a fighter. So he would have been a world champion if he did not come out of that gym and have to go through the wars that he went through, go through the mental battles that he had to go through. I wanted to thank his manager, Anthony Carazano, who's always been there for him throughout his career, from the beginning to the very end. Luda Bella, Golden Boy Hotska De La Hoya, and then finally Al Hinman, who was 3 promoters throughout his boxing career. And again, he's sorry he couldn't be here, but he thanks you, all you guys for doing well.
Mark Twain was once asked for the secret of his success as a public speaker, and he answered, always remember that your audience will appreciate a bad, short speech more than a good long one. So I will be brief. You all know David. I'm not going to tell you everything that he has accomplished in his life. I will tell you that through everything that David has done, he has been true to who he is. He follows a voice from deep inside and is brave enough to be himself. I've said many times that some of the best people I've met in my life were in boxing, and many of the worst people I've met in my life were in boxing. But David is one of the best, and it's an honor to present him for induction to the New York State Boxing Hall of
Fame. People that know me know that I've traveled the world extensively for the last 3 decades. I've seen and I've been to a lot of places. But right here, right now, there's nowhere else in the world that I'd rather be than here with you guys. And I grew up here on the East Coast, a kid who looked up to Pele, Evel Knievel, the Lone Ranger, Fonz, my Uncle Arnie, and Sugar Ray Leonard. And I fell deep into drugs and alcohol. I moved to California in the early 90s to get clean and sober. Today I stand before you 30 years clean. I first started boxing at King's Gym in East Oakland. My first trainer, Buddha, rest in peace, he likened me to Thomas Hearns because I was lean with a long reach. Obviously, the Sugar Ray Leonard fan, that didn't go over too well. Well, it turned out my voice was better than my left hook. So I combined my love of entertainment and live performance with my love of boxing. One day, a guy named Dave Itzkowitz, many of you guys know him, he hired me to announce a Lou DiBella card. On the night, Lou showed up probably during about the second fight. He climbed into the ring. He gets right into my face and he goes, "Who the F are you?" I looked him dead in the eye. He said it again. "Who the F are you?" And he goes, "You're amazing." Glad I didn't throw that right across. Lou yelled to his assistant right there, "Him, HBO." And that was it. I was off and running. From the four corners of the world to the four corners of this stage, right here at Russo's on the Bay in Howard Beach, Queens, New York, USA. The fight starts now!
He writes for Fighting News. He's an editor for BoxRec. He's a member of IBRO. He is on the International Boxing Hall of Fame voting committee. He's a cut man. He's a timekeeper. And most of all, he works with people that have Parkinson's disease. Let's hear for Bob Caico.
I'm used to giving out the awards and I collected an award. And for 30 years I've been married to my wife Teresa, 31 I know. And without her, you know, she complained every time I'm on my computer trying to do research. But then when it goes down, she always fixes my computer. So I think the belt should go to her. And you can read in the book about whatever I do, and I'm proud to be up here, and it's very humbling. But it's 3 degrees in boxing to be next to somebody. I'm honored here to be the relatives of Mike Belloise, because his last fight was against Tommy Stenhouse, which in 1947, and he was a friend of mine from Ring 44. He was one of the members, and so when he became a friend of mine, his people he fought became friends of mine. I studied up on the Belloise brothers, and I know a lot about them. And that's what makes the love of boxing for me, is the families that are here and the history of the boxing. And to show you how it spreads across New York State, Robin Taylor when I was in the gym in Buffalo, and they were looking at the list of who was coming. And Rafael Vasquez, who used to, from Brooklyn, used to box from New York City, says, I'm glad Robin's getting in. And then Eric Marlinsky, who's a judge now from Buffalo, says, I'm glad Robin's getting in. So the love spreads across the state, not just here in New York City. And that's all I really wanted to say. It's that I love the history of the boxing. Henry's the GOAT of historians here. And we do it for the love. And the boxers that are here, your children, great-grandchildren, and their children are gonna ask about their family and what they did in boxing, and that's never gonna go away. Thank you very much.